In this week's episode of Working with Evernote, I'm going to show you my to read label. Hello and welcome to episode 84 of my Working with Evernote series. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode I'm going to show you how I created a to read label or tag in Evernote and the reasons why I did it. And it only came about because I was traveling over the last 48 hours. I actually set off at midnight on Wednesday last week and arrived back in Seoul early Friday morning. So effectively I was traveling for about 24 hours, give or take, based on the time difference between Asia and Europe. And what I was doing was, because I was sitting in airports and I was reading while I was waiting for planes and so on and so forth, I found that it was just, there was a lot of articles that I was capturing or reading, and I really wanted to review them in a little bit more detail when I got back home and I could review them on a screen, because I was actually just using my iPhone in the airports. And I just ended up creating this tag for to read later. Now there are a few problems with this, because Evernote, if you're using it like I use it, it has thousands of notes in it, and it's very, very easy for things to actually get lost when you start dumping items to read, which is why usually I end up using Instapaper for my reading material. But in this case, I wanted to review these articles in a lot more detail than I would do with Instapaper, hence the reason why I created this tag while sitting, I think it was in Dublin Airport rather than Paris. But anyway, I want to show you why I did it and how I connect this to my Todoist. So although it's predominantly about Evernote, there is a small part which is related to Todoist, but it doesn't matter whether you're using Todoist or OmniFocus or Asana or Trello or whatever to-do list manager you're using. It doesn't really matter, because the same principles would apply. Okay, before we get into this, before we go into Evernote, I would just like to ask, if you like this video, please click on the like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. Okay, let's go into Evernote and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so before we get started with this, what I should do is just quickly review how I have my tags set up. So I have the colon means people, the at means places, the forward slash is what, which relates to anything, which is why we've got 90 tags in there. I have the hashtag for when. I have the, I don't know what that is, upper arrow for incubator, which is a very important one for me. And now I have the forward arrow for my read review, which is the main part that I'm going to be showing you today. So in here I've got articles, podcasts and YouTube videos. Now this is just because none of these articles are urgent or important, and it's just something that I actually want to review on a specific time. Something I want to review as and when I have time. So I click on here, I can double click on there, and all the ones that I collected while I was away are now in here. I actually have one here from the 5th of December, which came in from a good friend of mine, Ernie, just before I went on holiday, and I never really got round to reading it. And there's a lot of articles in there that I would really like to review, some podcasts and so on. And essentially that's how I have this set up. So the read review here. Now the problem I have is obviously, I don't know how many notes I have in here, and I can just go into here and click on here for all notes. It doesn't really tell me, it doesn't tell me, but I have, as you can see, a lot of notes in my in my Evernote. So the thing I'm going to need is, I want to be able to remember to check these out as and when I have time. So what I do is I create a list in my Evernote, and you can actually add it in wherever you want. I think I've got this in routines, and it's going to be in my weekly routines. And what you can do is just add in I haven't got it there. Oh, it's not in there. you know, it's not in there. But anyway, that's where I would actually put it in. It's just going to be a review. But what you can do is add it to your list here. So I've got review all these things here, and what I can do next is add on here. My next one is review my read review label. Sorry, read review tag in Evernote. And if you want, you can create a link, but I'm not going to create a link because I know where it is. All you have to do when you're in Todoist is, sorry, Evernote, is just Command J, and I can just type in that, and it will bring up articles which are here. Can click on that, and it's just in there. So it's very easy for me to actually find it when I use my Command J. And that's essentially all you have to do. It's a super thing, but the only problem, as I say, is that it's so easy to forget that you actually have it, which is why it's always a good idea to add it to your weekly review checklist, which I have here, which I have covered before. But I've modified this for my own particular usage. Okay, hopefully that's given you some idea maybe what you can do with your own read review articles. As I say, the biggest problem is that most people end up dumping stuff in there, and the list very quickly becomes an unmanageable mess, and that's not really what you want to be doing. You need to be able to keep it manageable, and this is a great way of doing that. Now, I just realized what my problem with Todoist is, because I actually created it as a single action, but now what I wanted to do was to show you that putting into your weekly review checklist, this is a really good way of making sure you don't forget what to do. Okay, hopefully that's given you some ideas and some thoughts. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.